how to find the right cleanser for your skin type. So this is one of the most common questions that I get in social media. So we're going to go over several different types. Of course, there are so many different types. There is no way we can go over every single type, but we're going to actually go through the main categories of cleansers. And this always also depends on your existing skin condition. So if you have dermatitis, if you have psoriasis, eczema, if you have rosacea, if you have acne, it depends on that. It also depends on the age of your skin and the climate. What type of climate that you live in, if it's an arid climate or if it's a humid climate, and as well as seasons. So stay tuned for the pro tips that we'll be giving later in this video. So here is one fact that people don't think about, and that is you do not have to stick to one type of cleanser all year long. So most people have the mindset that this cleanser works for me, so I'm going to keep this cleanser and keep it the same. What you don't realize is you can actually switch out your cleansers and some of your skincare products throughout the year. So just like in the winter time when you start to wear thicker, heavier coats, you may want to switch out your light moisturizer now for a heavier cream. And in the summertime when you are sweating more and it's hot, you don't need that heavier cream. Maybe you can switch that out for a gel-based moisturizer or a lighter moisturizer or lotion. So for those of you who've had a professional facial by a licensed professional, you may have noticed that they do what's called the double cleanse method, and there's some other videos out there. And the reason why the double cleanse method is actually quite effective and important is because the first cleanse is actually to break down the oil, the environmental pollutants, the sunscreen, the makeup throughout the day. So it's really important, especially at night. In the morning when you're doing a double cleanse, that first cleanse now is to break down the stale products that you have, oil and sweat, and even the basically on your sheets, the microscopic parasites that eat the skin, the dead skin off you. They do have to use the restroom, and those microscopic particles get on your skin. Kind of gross, but you want to get that off. And then the second cleanse is always to cleanse your skin. Now, you don't have to use the same cleanser for the double cleanse. So a lot of times professionals, based on the consultation, they will use one type of cleanser to break down the oil or whatever that you have on your face, and then the second cleanser to actually address the acne, the oil, or maybe that you're very, very dry. Now, double cleanse is especially important for those of you who have very oily skin or you're breakout prone. And the reason why is because especially those of you who have very oily skin and you're using a heavier oil-based foundation or makeup, it has to break that down. And when you're using a water-based cleanser, it doesn't quite get off the oil, because remember, they are opposites, and so they go apart from each other. So what you may want to consider is using a cleansing oil if you don't break out, cleansing oil to break down, because oil breaks down oil, or use a micellar water, which also breaks down, but then not leaving it at that. The second cleanse, now you're going to use a hydrophilic, so water-loving cleanser, which is, it could be a gel based foaming cleanser or a hydrating foaming cleanser, because that will typically then cleanse your skin. And this is not recommended for everybody, but if you wear heavier makeup or liquid foundation or sunscreen, your face is oily, some of my clients even will do a where they're doing the first cleanse with a cleansing oil to break that down. Then they'll use a foaming cleanser for a second cleanse, and then we'll even do a third cleanse to make sure that their skin is very clean. So at least do the double cleanse method. Now, to avoid over drying your skin, especially in the winter months, a lot of people who have oily skin tend to stick with their gel-based foaming cleanser. You want to avoid sulfates in your cleanser. So look at your cleanser to make sure, especially if they're near the top, then most of it is basically a detergent agent. If you love your cleanser and you love that foam and it has some type of sulfate in it, make sure they're lower at towards the bottom. But there are a lot of gel foaming cleansers that don't use any of the sulfates, and they use a more gentle foaming agent, such as cocoa glucoside or just glucoside, which is typically a coconut-based surfactant or a sugar-based surfactant. Those are much more gentle on the skin, and you still get that foaming because some people really like the foaming cleansers. Okay, so here is some examples. Again, I don't have every single cleanser with me because we're actually off-site. I brought some cleansers that are good examples of the common cleansers that you can use for your skin. So the first one we're going to talk about is, this is a good example of a gel-based foaming cleanser that does not use sulfate. It's called Restore, and you can actually use it for your face and your body. It actually works really, really well with most of my clients who don't have sensitive skin. Some people who have somewhat sensitive skin can use it, but it's basically recommended for normal to oily to combo skin. And the reason why I like it is because it does restore your skin's acid mantle. It doesn't strip the acid mantle, so it doesn't feel tight. It doesn't have any artificial fragrances. And it works really, really well to increase the efficacy of products that help fight ingrown hairs and bumps. So a lot of my waxing clients will use it in addition to using it on their face and cleanser, and you don't need a whole lot. So for example, when paired with using something that has AHAs, it actually really increases because the efficacy of it, because it restores that acid mantle. So this is a gel-based foaming cleanser, and typically these work best with normal to oily skin or combination skin. The next one after that, which I'm going to leave a space right here, I don't have, it would be a gel-based non-foaming cleanser. And typically, people who work well with that are people who have a compromised skin barrier. So that would be people who have super, super dry skin, who have very sensitive skin, who have rosacea or eczema. So they don't like anything that's kind of creamy. So they want that gel base, but it does not foam. People who have normal skin or oily skin that use that, they don't like it because it feels like sometimes they may have a film on there, and that is because it's typically designed for people who have a compromised skin barrier. So for those of you who have combination to oily, you're probably not going to prefer that one. That's more for sensitive skin types. The next one here is a good example, and both of them, what I like is it's very concentrated, so you don't need a whole lot. This is the MD Dermaceutical Renew Face and Body Wash, and this is a anti-aging cleanser. It's very gentle because they know that if you're using anti-aging creams or serums, if you're layering on top of layering and you're using it every single day, you can over time oversensitize the skin and even over dry the skin. So it has a hydrating exfoliating agent, which is lactic acid. It's super gentle. So really, if you're going to get some exfoliating results, you need to use this in addition to an exfoliator, but it does have some exfoliating properties. So for those of you who have sensitive skin and you can't use an exfoliating product, this may just work for you in addition to maybe an exfoliating powder. And so this foams as well, but it doesn't use any sulfates. So this is a cream base, and this is basically good for people who have normal to dry or normal dry combination skin types. And maybe sometimes if they're a little bit sensitized, not because they have sensitive skin, but because they're using retinol or Retin-A. So that is a good one as well. The next category is a cream-based cleanser that does not foam. So typically most cream-based cleansers don't foam. So this is the exception. So it's usually called like a cleansing milk. So what happens is as soon as it hits water, it starts to break down. Typically with most cleansing milk or cream-based cleansers, you want to apply it on dry skin because as soon as it hits water, it starts to break down. So you want to smooth it over your face, work it through, and then some of them you can tissue off or rinse off. This is typically, again, for people who have extremely dry skin. It doesn't work really well with people who have oily skin, and definitely not for people who are breakout prone. So more on the sensitive type or dry skin can use this. So what I probably would recommend is if you have dry skin and you want to do a double cleanse, and any type of foaming cleanser tends to dry out your skin, what I would recommend is first using a cleansing milk, if you like that sort of thing, to break down the makeup, and then rinse off, and then the second cleanse using still a cream-based foaming cleanser such as this to really get your skin feeling clean. The other one is a cream-based, even though they don't really use any creams or oils, is a cream-based exfoliating cleanser. And this is, again, because it's not going to foam, this works really well for people who have drier or sensitive skin naturally, but they tend to break out, and so they need the exfoliating properties, or their skin is oversensitized because they are using strong acne medication on their skin, such as any type of tretinoin, or there's different names, brand names such as Differin. If you're using something like that and it dries out your skin and your skin is kind of getting sensitive, then using a cream-based exfoliating cleanser can help as well. So you can, what people don't realize is you don't have to stick to just one type of cleanser all year long. You can do a combination. You can do it where you use this first, and then the second cleanse in the wintertime, you can use this one. So you can do two of the same, or one is first and then a different one, the second one, depending on how your skin feels. Or let's say you have breakout prone skin, so you want to use this to really wash your face, and then at night you're doing a double cleanse of this. So it just depends, and usually when I am doing a consultation with my clients, I really get to know their skin. I will customize what cleanser that they're going to use, and the cleanser is actually really important because it is the foundation of the pH of your skin after it cleanses to prep the skin pH-wise for the next step. So here comes the pro tip. The pro tip is that maybe you went out on a holiday party and you wore more makeup than usual and danced all night, so now your skin is really oily and you have extra makeup on there. So you can use a cleansing oil, and the second cleanse and third cleanse is you can do Restore. You can customize the cleansers based on what you're doing. Now, you have to be careful. These all are pH compatible because I purchased them because of their pH. Some pHs, if you are using, let's say that you're using a cleanser that addresses acne, and then you're also using a gentle soap. Well, typical soap pH is alkaline, and typical acne cleansers are acidic. So in chemistry, if you take something that's acidic and something that's alkaline and you blend the two together, they neutralize each other. So you have to be careful with that. So this is just an example of what I do with my clients because I've done the homework behind them. So make sure that they're both pH about the same and not as one is opposite from the other one. The other one too is I did make sure that you can combine some different exfoliants with the cleanser to dilute the exfoliant if someone is not quite ready for something as acidic. So for example, you can actually use the Image Ageless Resurfacing mask, which is, you can use it as a scrub as well. You can blend it into the Restore, the MD Dermaceutical. These are the two that you can blend it in with. This one, you cannot use the resurfacing with this. It doesn't work well with other, like just creams. So this one or this one cannot work with that. So you also need to understand the product and see that if they can blend and mix and match. And that may take a little bit of homework, but it actually will really benefit your skin if you can do that. Because remember, makeup is an art and skincare is a science. And remember, all the links will be located down below in the description.